This is the Classic Auto Mall Show. Broadcast from the studios inside the Classic Auto Mall in Morgantown, Pennsylvania. Just 1 hour west of Philadelphia at Pennsylvania Turnpike exit 298. Featuring nearly 1,000 classic, vintage, and barn-find vehicles for sale under one climate-controlled roof. Now, here's your host, Classic Auto Mall president, and the man with all the toys, Stewart Howden.
And welcome, show number... 211.
211.
Oh. Is there a 211 in progress? Was that a thing on Adam 12?
211 in progress.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know what it was, though. There was some kind of
robbery.
Shenanigans. I like Dragnet, though, better. I thought that was... what was his name?
Joe Friday?
Joe Friday. Yeah, he was amazing. He was so funny.
Before my time.
And especially when they talked about the heathens on drugs. That was the funniest part. And all the nicknames they had for marijuana.
Smack. Smack.
So anyway, before we get started with our guest, how many cars in inventory, JR? You
I'm going to go 933.
Is there a Porsche reference this week?
There is not.
929.
Ooh, 927.
Oh,
very good.
So close.
Very good. So close, but yet so far.
Yes.
Kind of like a lot of things. Anyway, joining us via Zoom this morning, Mr. Dennis Gage, who's got his, looks like he's ready to start a band back there. You got some guitars, and I didn't realize your career had some music in it, and you and I were talking before we started about your pedal steel playing experience. You were one of those guys.
I was one of those guys. It was in a former life,
right?
But I was one of those guys.
Did you enjoy? I mean, being in the band has got to be kind of a cool thing. Did you have the handlebar mustache then?
I did actually.
Cool.
I was born with it.
Cool.
You should see the baby pictures. They're hilarious.
I can only imagine.
But yeah, I was really a guitarist at the time. I mean, I played music all my life,
sure,
brass instruments and things like that. But it was at the end of my undergrad career, and I played the rock bands and coffee house circuits and stuff like that. And I was I'm a scientist, right? Was back in the day, and but a musician on the side. And I'd gone to a concert in Chicago. I was at a college outside of Chicago. And it was 1975. It was the Eagles in the Auditorium, which is a stunning theater in Chicago. Only 5,000 seats. Back I saw Springsteen there. I saw Tull there.
Nice.
Back in the day when you could see these people actually.
Right.
And I was nearing graduation and everything, and I was sitting in great seats, third row, and the warm-up band was a band called Fool's Gold. But right in front of me was this cat playing a pedal steel, and I didn't even know what they were. And I went, holy cow, this is amazing. I got to get me one of these. And I literally went out the next day and bought one.
Wow.
And then taught myself to play it. And then instead of going to graduate school in theoretical chemistry, I toured with bands for 2 years, and my parents were so proud.
Oh, yes. They always love that when you take that career path, right? Of course, then you wanted to be doing something around classic cars. And I imagine even then that was another one they kind of scratched their head about because you were, as you said, a scientist and a physicist and all those other things. Yeah.
Well, I grew up in that era.
Sure.
The muscle car era. It's like, I'm a farm boy from northwestern Illinois. And, back then, we were pretty isolated. If you weren't paying attention to cars, I don't know what you were paying attention to.
Right.
Girls,
yeah.
But the whole thing, my whole generation was really influenced. The whole car hobby was really a Madison Avenue thing.
Oh, sure.
It was really the big three decided they needed, another a consumer segment. What's a good consumer segment? How about youth?
Yeah, youth is great.
We need an unmet consumer need. Well, how about the need for speed? And so they slapped a big engine and a grocery getter sedan, and poof, you had a GTO.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And so I was really a product of that. So I've always been a motorcycle guy. And it just, it's just one of the many interests that have woven their way through my life.
Well, I'm the same way. I love music and I love cars. And if I weren't, one of these days we're going to do a music show from here because I love talking about music and I love listening to music and all of that. And I think that, but with cars, you're so right. All of us knew cars from when the dealership took the paper, the paper off the windows when the new cars came out in September. And then if you read, I wasn't even cool enough to know what Hemmings was back then. I had no idea that Hemmings is existed. That would have been a flashbulb moment for me. But you're right. The marketing that they did for the GTO and for the all the muscle cars, the Chevelles and Mustangs,
all the Mopar stuff.
It was amazing, and they did it in a way that made every one of us want every one of those cars.
Absolutely.
And that's why guys collect more than 2 cars nowadays. What do you think about that with these people that, how many people do you know, and I'm sure you know lots of them, that have 20 plus cars in their collection that are just hidden in a barn somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and they just exist? It's kind of crazy that it's gotten to that point.
Yeah, and it's everywhere. I mean, that exists everywhere. In fact, that was me.
Right.
I don't have as many as I used to, just because, and as you know, you can't just let them sit.
No.
Because they will return to the earth on their own. And we, I had so many cars, and in fact, my show, the original format of the show, we had a studio piece, kind of a product piece, how we paid the bills.
Right.
But that shop was actually that was at my house.
Really?
It really was my place. That was my shop.
I didn't know
and
that.
And so, once a year we would in over a period of 1 week, we would shoot all 26 of those segments in 1 week's time. And I'd spend 2 weeks ahead of time getting it ready and turning it into a TV studio. And with, I don't know, 8 or 10 motorcycles and 15 or so cars, I had to move all that stuff out, find a place for it for 3 weeks, clean the place back to the walls and put in 10,000 watts of light.
Right.
And, and I realized, I got to the point when I realized that the last time I had started this car was the previous year to move it out of the way. I probably shouldn't have that car,
It's like a box of parts. You're supposed to put a date on it. And if 3 years later you have not opened that box for any reason, you have to throw it out without even looking in it, which is impossible to do, right? So 26 episodes in a week, that's grueling. I mean, just doing an hour show that we do here, you feel it. And I mean, to do all that and to do research and to make sure that everything comes together, that's no easy feat.
Well, we had done it so long, and like I said when we were talking earlier, that ahead of the show, that I'm shooting my 30th season of this show.
Wow.
And so I used to hate those segments because they were just such a nightmare.
Right.
But we finally got it down.
Right.
And they're about a 6-minute segment, something like 4 to 6 minute segment, and we just, we got it to the point where it was just a science, and we could just bang these things out.
Right.
And I think it was when we finally moved to a format where instead of trying to talk about somebody's product, you brought the people in.
Right.
So who knows more about the product than the person that created it or supplies it or whatever? Sure. And my only real talent is that I'm pretty easy to talk to. That's it. I got nothing. But I ask pretty good questions.
Sure.
So, it was just a matter of what we would do. It was funny because early on people would come in and they kind of have a sheet. They wanted to talk about this or talk about that. I said, put that aside. And we would just sit and talk for a little while. I'd find out where, I'd learn where they were going, what they wanted to get across. And then I would just lead them there.
Sure.
And it just went, it was very natural that way. I was just asking questions that I wanted to know the answer to.
Right.
And it really worked. And we could bang those things out.
I bet.
Just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, and it had to be a lot of fun because you probably met a lot of people that you'd read about over the years, and finally now they're coming to your place or you're able to interview them. Same with me and you and some of the other guests that we've had here as well, too. It's fun to meet people that you've kind of grown up admiring over the years.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of those. I got to know Carol Shelby pretty well, and boy, what a fascinating individual he was. It was just, and of course, I've been friends with Jay Leno for about 25 years, and he's just been great friend to my show. It's just so cool to be able to hang out with people like that.
Absolutely. And you said something, it was interesting. Leno has been, like you said, a huge influence for your show and been great for your show because I imagine he's a guaranteed bump of X amount of rating points when he's on, because of his breadth of awareness of who he is, and especially in the car world. I mean, but people know him in every world, and they know he's a car guy, which is even cooler, that people that aren't car people know him as a car person.
Well, what's interesting about that, Stewart, is that, because he and I started I first met him back in 1998, and it's actually kind of a funny story because he received in 1998 he received the Collector Car Hobby Man of the Year award, which was just a PR stunt by McGuire.
Right.
It's really all it was, and he doesn't usually accept awards and stuff like that, but he's so passionate about that he did. And then I got an invitation to go to that as a media person. Maybe I'll cover it. Right. And I worked out a deal to, okay, love to be out there, get me out there, out in LA. And, I was hoping to beat Jay because my show had only been on. I started, at a pilot series back in 96, but it was really the regular show in 97. Right. And so this was just 98. And I really wanted to meet Jay, that's why I went there. Right. Because it would have, if I could get him on the show.
Oh, yeah. Change everything, right?
Yeah. And so, he hanging around ahead of time. He's not there. But then suddenly this, just about when the thing's supposed to start, a helicopter lands, Jay gets off, he comes in, he does a little bit of a shtick routine, accepts the award. And then he's going to be out of there. And there was and I'm still hanging around. And it was pretty much all the McGuire's family. And they're, getting pictures with Jay and stuff. And I'm just hanging off to the side and everything. And they finally got the last, I don't know, the 30th cousin 5 times removed on the mother's side. And the McGuire family gets their picture. Right. And then Jay turns and he's headed off to the helicopter. And I just kind of, bolted up to him. I said, Jay, I just got to tell you, I'm a huge fan of your show. And he goes, oh, that's great. He said, and I said, I've got a show, a car show. And he goes, oh yeah, no, I watch your show. And I go, wait,
yeah, I watch your show.
You watch my show? He goes, no, I like your show. And I said, well, wow, that's great. And it'd be fantastic if I could have you. Oh yeah, no problem. Just set it up. Right. Yes, this is great. Now, it took me 2 more years to penetrate the force field that surrounds and protects Jay. Yeah. And I finally got to him through Randy Ema, who is Jay's Duesenberg restorer.
Right. I'm familiar with him.
Piece with Randy, and I said, I've been trying to get through to Jay for 2 years. And Randy goes, let
me call him.
I'll just give him a call. So he calls him up, and a little while later, I get a call from Jay. And yeah, sure, let's do this. And so I went out there, and this is only like his 5th year. He just celebrated his 5th season as Tonight Show host. Right. But it was funny because people didn't really know at the time that he was that big a car guy.
I got you.
And so for Jay, and he's got this encyclopedic knowledge. It's like weird. Right. It's almost savant-like. Right. But he did. This was a huge outlet because he had this passion. He had these great cars and stuff, and he had no way to kind of share that. And so really, I had the exclusivity with Jay for about a decade. I mean, I was the only guy that got into his collection. He let me drive everything. Right. And it was what was cool was it was an outlet for him. And so, he finally retires. Then he starts Jay Leno's Garage and everything. And he did they did an interview with him. Wall Street Journal did a piece in 2018 on him, kind of weekend thing. Jay's retired, but not really. And in that Wall Street Journal article, Jay goes, I started playing with this little show, My Classic Car with Dennis Gage back in 2000. It looked like a lot of fun, And so, so after he retires, he does the show. But I always say, I gave Jay Leno a start. Automotive television, Well,
it had to be great for his collecting, too, because now people know that a guy like him is a collector, and he gets the calls on the good stuff, that we all
absolutely.
wish that,
Stuff finds him.
Exactly.
People like that. I do a lot of stuff, Stewart, with Rick and Jim Schmidt. Jim Schmidt was the founder of National Parts Depot down in Florida. Yeah. Big aftermarket restoration parts company, and Rick is his son. And they've got this fabulous collection, 250 or so cars, and most of them are unrestored original cars, ultra low mileage. Sure. And I've been shooting with them for 25 years, more actually. And now that cars find them. Right, exactly. People are like, I've got this really low mileage. You need to. Mm-hmm. So it's been great for them.
Sure.
It's like the cars come to them.
Yeah. And that's, that's a huge bonus because you don't know about every car out there because as we said earlier, there's so many collectors and cars that are out there that people never, we find within 100 miles of here, we find collections almost every week of a guy who's got 30 or 40 or 50 cars.
It's crazy.
It really is. And it's, if you think about it, it's replaced something. What did people collect? What did guys collect before we started collecting cars and all this stuff? What was it? Playboy magazine? I don't know.
Model trains?
Mob trains? I don't know. It's like it almost just created itself is to have a collection of cars. And then, of course, the memorabilia facet of it just is exploded because if you got a barn for your cars, then you got to have a Bob's Big Boy and you got to have a Chevy neon sign and yada, 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 right?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of automobilia and petrobilia that was collected. That's really pretty much by the same people, though.
Right.
So it's pretty much the usual suspects.
Right, exactly. Well, I always say if I'm buying a die-cast car, I'm buying that because I can't buy the real one. So if I can, or I can't afford the real one anyway. But I love what you said about your show and you in person, and I'll read this. You say that you're not an authority, just the ultimate enthusiast, and no one knows more about a car than the guy who owns it. I love that.
Yeah.
That people have a tendency to think if you're on television, then you're an expert in every part in every facet, and you know more about cars than anybody on the planet, and that's not necessarily the case, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, that is the last thing I want to be.
Right.
I want to be, like I say, the ultimate enthusiast. Now, I do know a lot about cars.
Well, sure.
But that's because I've got really an uncanny memory.
Right.
And I know just about everything I've ever been told. So my head is largely full of useless crap. but it really, I learn from everybody I talk to. I mean, everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm just able to kind of keep it there.
We got to figure out a way to plug into people like you to, extract that information out and put it into like a barrel somewhere so we don't lose it. That's the fear of the lost art. When Gene Winfield passed, what kind of knowledge on metal bending went away that he maybe never told people, a little trick or this little thing that he always did that he didn't really want to tell everybody about, how?
Yeah, I knew Gene for years and he was just a fascinating guy. I tell you another funny story because I shot with Gene. This was quite a long time ago. And, he had a shop out in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was finally kind of regulated out of there because, you can't do all that toxic stuff.
Exactly.
So he had a place in the Mojave Desert. And I'd met Gene a long time ago, and I thought, that'd be a cool show. I'm going to go out and we're going to shoot with Gene. So it's not far from, I think, Victorville, which is like in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Right, exactly.
And so we go out there, and in fact, I think we're staying in Victorville, which is quite a ways away, because nearest thing to his shop. So we drive there. I get to Gene's place. This was back really before GPS, and we're map questing our way around with sheets of paper. I think we turn left here.
Right.
And we get to this place, and it's like in the desert. And it's big chain link fence around what looks like a junkyard.
Right.
And there's a big chain around the gate. And we're there at about 9 a.m. and kind of standing outside looking around, kind of, shake the gate a couple times. And then there's like a tour bus in there. And these two guys that look like fugitive roadies from a ZZ Top tour, come staggering out of this bus. Oh man, yeah.
9 a.m.
He said you were coming. Yeah. So they go in, they find the keys, they unlock it, and they were just living at Gene's place in this tour bus. And so we spent the day with Gene, and it was just fascinating. And he's got all these legendary cars just sitting out in the desert.
I know.
Just dusty, and it was well, and he almost blew me up, actually. But
were you standing too close to something? Yeah, if you look at people like him and the knowledge base, and people like McPherson College are trying to replicate that and to do those things, because it's very important that we don't lose that art of the hobby, because there's a lot of things that are never going to get built again, even with 3D printing and all that other stuff that I know nothing about. You still got to have the talent and the know-how to get it.
Yeah, and McPherson is absolutely the place to get. I've been associated with them since about 2000, And that's all. That also is because of Jay.
Sure. Wow.
Jay calls me up and goes, Dennis, there's this college out in McPherson, Kansas. You really need to give that a look.
Right.
And especially back then when Jay said I should do something.
You didn't say, well, I don't know, I can get to it later. No.
Yeah, right. So I was on their national advisory board for like about 10 years.
Nice.
And at that time, actually, the program was going through some tough times, but it's completely, found its footing. There's a lot of money behind it now. The facility's amazing. The people they turn out are incredible.
Yeah.
It's just really cool. And they're turning out people with skills that just are dying, because Jay was always talking about there's only a handful of people that know how to pour Babbitt bearings anymore.
Exactly.
I haven't done this. This guy's like 85 years old. I'm like, I hope he makes it through before he's done pouring this. It's like he gets the paddles out clear. Get that sucker finished.
Yeah, keep him going. Well, that's like Corky Coker and the spoke wheels that he still builds down in Chattanooga that you got to have. And if you're restoring one of these old pre-war cars that had them, you don't just go buy them at Walmart.
Nope, you don't.
And I think that, it's nice that people like Jay are giving back to the hobby who can afford to do so. And people like, Rob Walton, who makes big donations to these people, and all these people that have the wherewithal to do it, that they're not excluding the classic car world, because we can't let this go away. There's too much art and history and just, we can't let it go.
No, and it is fascinating, and that's one of the things I just do love about Jay is his encyclopedic knowledge, and so much of the technology of today really dates back to like the 20s.
Right.
Duesenberg's in 1929, dual overhead cam, 4 valve per cylinder, supercharged engines in 1929.
Yeah,
the Cord pioneered the constant velocity joint, which is used in every car today, every front wheel drive car today was pioneered back in about 1928.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
How crazy! I mean, well, Chevrolet didn't come out with a V8 until 1955, so that tells you, the difference between, excuse me, what the technology was back then, what it is now, and of course, a Duesenberg back then, I think just the chassis and the engine and the suspension and the tires and wheels was $20,000, and then you had
and that's all you got, and then you sent it out and had it bodied.
Yeah. And then, of course, that's a big thing around here. Fleetwood was just north of us here in Pennsylvania. Fleetwood body that manufactured cars for, all of the big guys back in the pre-war, and then became Fleetwood, with the General Motors stuff that they did as well too. Mm-hmm. So, it's interesting the history that you learn about all these things because, like you said, there's so much knowledge out there, and to retain all that certainly helps you. I'm certain when you're doing a show out on the, it's hard to interview somebody when you're not in kind of this environment. To me, it's a little bit more difficult. Do you find that, or is it easy for you to just talk to somebody randomly in the field?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah,
I just, like I said, I'm easy to talk to, and I'm inherently curious.
Right.
So, and what's funny is that, I go at these shows and I find a car and an owner that I like, and my shows become known for stuff that's off the beaten path.
Right.
I love muscle cars, but I've been Cuda Camaro Mustanged to death, and I've had all of those and I love them all. But if I was focusing on that stuff, I wouldn't be in my 30th season.
Right, exactly.
For me, it's like there's always something at every show that catches my eye for one reason or another, and it tends to be kind of an oddball, forgotten car, or
sure.
Gee, I didn't know about that, or I didn't think that was cool then, but boy, it's cool now.
Yeah, how funny is that?
I'll talk to somebody, I find the person in the car I like, and, I'll just chat them up and learn about it and stuff like that. And then I said, well, I'd like to do an interview with you. Oh,
right.
I couldn't possibly. I couldn't possibly do that. And then I said, well, look, we've just been talking for 10 minutes, right? That's all we're going to do. We're going to do it again.
You're going to do it again, and just don't think about that. That camera's right there.
Yeah. And I said, just ignore the camera. I do.
Yeah.
And we're just going to talk.
Yeah,
and it always works.
It's funny how you mentioned that cars that you didn't appreciate when you were younger that you did now. A dear friend of mine, Bob Schmidt, who did all of Glenn Patch's 57 Heaven collection of 1957 American-made automobiles, got me into Finn Mopars like nobody's business. I didn't know anything about
him. I shot with him.
Yeah, Bob was great. He did that.
He was great.
Oh, just his level of detail when he would do an engine compartment for you, it would be $5,000 back in the day when you could paint a car for $2,000.
Right.
He was just so methodical, but he got me into those Chrysler and DeSotos and Dodges from the late 50s, and now I love them. It's a whole new segment to me.
Yeah, I was shooting in Jersey a week ago. These people are crazy, but it's a great show. Dead Man's Curve.
Oh yeah,
Wild Hot Rod Weekend.
Sure,
great. But I met a cat there, a fairly young guy, and Jim Rawa's his name. But he's kind of become this guru in finned Mopars, and he had several of them there. But he had this '58 Saratoga.
Oh wow!
It was just and it was like a paint to match color. It was like not even a paint to sample. I should say.
Paint to sample, right?
Paint to sample. So it wasn't even a standard color. It was kind of a metallic eggplant top and kind of coral peach. I don't know, but it was like drop dead gorgeous. I mean, like holy cow, beautiful.
Stop you in your tracks. Yeah.
Yeah, and and just stunning. And Virgil Exeter did a lot of those.
Sure.
He also did some really bad things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really like the 62 Dart.
You go, That's got
to be the ugliest car. So ugly, it's cool.
I was going to ask you what you thought the ugliest car was. So you see, it just flows naturally. I love that.
Well, actually, I think probably the ugliest car may actually be the Nissan Juke.
That's pretty ugly. That's pretty
really ugly, and I think the Pontiac Aztek.
I was going to say the Aztek, and like you said, some are so ugly they're beautiful, like the Gremlin and the Pacer. They've grown on me.
Exactly. Those were two that I was going to say were considered ugly, but now I actually think are kind of interesting.
They're kind of cool.
I cannot find a Juke to be interesting.
No, I will never either. I will never either. I promise you. As long as I'm dying, my collection will not hold a Juke when I die. So you're going to actually be here today. For those of you who don't realize, we're talking via Zoom and modern technology, but you're actually going to be here in Morgantown at the Classic Auto Mall, October the 4th, Saturday, October the 4th, for the Cars for Kacie show, which is a wonderful event that's been here for now. I think there's 6 or 7 or 8 years they've been here with us, and they do an amazing job for a great cause.
Yeah, and Andy Rumford, who's kind of behind that whole thing, has been on me for a couple of years to try and get me there, and I've always had schedule conflicts.
Sure.
But it finally worked out, and I'll be, in full character. I'll be handlebarred then, because this is the mad stash look.
Yeah, I got you.
What I look like.
Is it a mood? Is it a mood thing where the stash goes? Do I know if you're happy if it's this way and sad?
Yeah, it's more of a motorcycle thing. This is definitely my motorcycle look. This is my car look.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
But yeah, I'll be there. I'm looking forward to that. I'm actually coming in from Chicago area because it is my 50th college class reunion.
Oh, wow.
I know. And it's like, oh my God, it happened to be on the same weekend. So it's this crazy thing where I'm going to, drive up to the Chicago area Thursday, and I'll kind of see everybody on Thursday night to sort of a party. And then there's a little bit on Friday that I'll be able to partake of. And then I got to bolt to O'Hare to get a plane to Philly to drive to, get in midnight to Morgantown.
Yeah.
Do that voodoo I do, then drive back to Philly, fly back to Chicago, and drive 5 hours back home in southern Indiana.
Well, that sounds like a fun weekend. So
yeah, it is. Then the next morning, I get up and fly to Buffalo.
Oh, nice. And it'll probably be snowing, even though it's just October, right? Well, and Cars for Kacie, I mean, it's a primary funding for what they call Kacie's Cause. And Andy Rumford and his wife lost their daughter to fentanyl. And it just, a horrible story that gets replayed time and time again all over the world. And it's so horrible. And it's so glad that people are focused on things like this. I'm so appreciative of people that spend all their time and effort on, making people aware of these things that can go wrong in your life.
And Andy certainly does that.
Absolutely.
He certainly does.
Absolutely. And, we're so thankful that we can be a part of it as well, too. We've got a nice big parking lot that, gives them lots of exposure. And, hey, listen, is it good for us? Sure, we get car guys to our place. There's nothing wrong with that.
That can't hurt.
That cannot hurt. But it's nice to be able to give back. And, always in our years of being in a business where we had 20 cars in a warehouse, we didn't have the wherewithal to do the kind of things that we can do now that we're a little bit bigger. So it's always fun and nice to be able to do that.
A little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger. Yeah, just a second. So I'm wondering if you ever, and I can't imagine you ever have, but maybe you did. If you shaved your mustache and put a baseball hat on, would anybody on the planet know who you were?
Not a chance.
I think you could go anywhere, right?
I used to think if I just didn't curl it, they wouldn't know it. But people don't seem to.
The distinction is not there.
It is not there. It's like Dennis Gage.
There he is, right there. Did you? Literally, when did you start growing a handlebar mustache? In your early teens, or how old were you?
Yeah, well, actually, the handlebar is left over from a ZZ Top beard back in the mid '70s.
Nice.
And I had long hair. I was a rock and roll guy, long hair, long beard. I was blonde, but my beard was dark, except my mustache was blonde. So it was really kind of striking in that. And I got tired of. I just got tired of it, so I shaved the beard away.
Right.
But I'd saved the stash. I thought, well, what can I do with that?
Right.
Well,
you did it, sir. I can do that. And then, of course, you influence. I sure you get royalties from Pringles, right? They pay.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, right. When you work for a corporation and you get a patent or two, what you get is a plaque.
Yeah,
it's a very nice plaque.
Yeah.
It's a nice plaque, but it's a plaque.
And I bet you there's a legal document that's about that tall that somewhere says that you never get anything. You and the intermittent wiper guy.
That's right. Exactly.
No, you guys are never getting anything. So, got to ask you before we go. My favorite question I get to ask everybody: daily driver. What's your daily driver? Motorcycle, maybe?
Well, yeah. If it's a nice day, it's a motorcycle.
Yeah.
They're all BMWs. I like Beamers.
Sure.
And really, it's bad for my image.
Right.
But really, if I'm just bombing around, it's a '99 Ford Windstar.
Oh yeah, the vans are I'm a huge believer
Which
in
I
vans.
bought brand new, and it's just like I will never give up that vehicle. It just does everything.
Exactly.
So I use that a lot. But I've got I can pick a bike or a car for just about any day.
For any kind of occasion, right?
Yeah,
I remember
exactly.
my friend, you knew him, Jerry Durnell, who was the publisher of Automobile Quarterly after he drove a minivan, and he just would expound on how wonderful a minivan is. So I had to
They're
get one.
unbelievable.
They're
great.
They're incredible cars. And we promise you it will not hurt your image, and we may have one waiting for you when you get here. But
it's good to know. It's
yeah,
good to know.
absolutely. So we will see you. Let's get that date right. Randy will put it up on the screen. But looks like Saturday, October the 4th, here at Classic Auto Mall, and I'm sure you'll be doing your thing and signing some autographs and all that fun stuff. And
I would say, I'm just there. It's like a politician. I'm shaking babies and kissing hands.
Sounds like
something like that.
Something in that area. Well, I look forward to meeting you in person, and thank you so much for spending your time with us this morning.
Stuart, my pleasure.
Dennis Gage, everybody. We'll see you back with the Classic Auto Mall show in just a couple of minutes.
Whether you want to buy or sell a classic, collectible, or special interest vehicle, you need to visit the Classic Auto Mall website for more information. If you're looking to buy, you can easily search our inventory of more than 1,000 vehicles on the web at classicautomall.com.
And we're back with the Classic Auto Mall show from the Classic Auto Mall studio. I like that song. And even though it's just like a AI made-up song, it's still kind of cool.
I made it myself.
It's got a little
Public domain.
dancing.
That's right.
Royalty-free music.
Yeah, royalty-free. Just what musicians love to hear.
Yeah.
Music to a musician's ear.
Yeah. But we do have to thank the Pat Travers Band for our theme song.
We do. It's a great theme song. And I noticed that most of our guests, a good portion of them, including Dennis Gage, you can see their head bobbing a little bit when they're listening to that. That's a great intro. It really is.
Good energy.
It's got great energy. It's the kind of energy that you should start your day with every morning. You know? I don't know what that was. So,
well, because I had one going.
Gotcha.
It was going. This was the Pat Travers.
That's it. It's a long song.
It is a very long.
It's like a 7-minute song.
Yeah. Offbeat Ride.
Offbeat Ride.
Offbeat Ride.
It's on YouTube.
And the one that you ruined me for Man for Man the other day that it didn't even have anything to do with Man for Man. Bruce Springsteen.
Spirit of the Night.
No. What was the other two? But didn't he?
Blinded by the Light.
Blinded by the Light. Yeah. And then the other song, In You.
For You?
For You.
For You, yeah.
Yeah. Did Bruce write that for himself? And then,
yeah.
But how did that become Man for Man's song? How did they become so known for that song and Blinded by the Light?
I think it got more play than his.
Isn't that weird, though?
Yeah.
Of course, when he recorded it, would have been what year?
75-ish.
And Manfred Mann put it out in 78 or 9.
Yeah, sometimes somebody hears it and they go, well, that's pretty good. Let's us
Remake.
cover it.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, that happened with Mel Tillis with Ruby, Don't Take Your Love to Town.
Right.
He recorded it, did okay.
Oh.
Kenny Rogers recorded it.
Boom.
Boom.
yeah.
Oh, that happens all the time.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know that.
I love that song. He wrote. Did he wrote
that.
Oh,
Ruby,
wow.
Don't Take. His wife said that's the most morbid song I've ever heard in my entire life.
It is pretty rough.
It's pretty rough.
There was a DJ named Jay Cook, and he said, as he's singing, "Oh, Ruby, don't take your love to town," and then he says, "Hey there, Ruby, turn around, let's take a look at your face." And then Kenny Rogers goes, "For God's sakes, turn around."
For God's sakes. Ruby, don't take your love to town. That's an innuendo on top of an innuendo, right? So where did we sell cars this past week?
Where?
How about Hockessin, Delaware? How about Shoreview, Minnesota? Seagirt, New Jersey. You'll love that in the post-production. Hellertown, Pennsylvania. Gilbertsville, Pennsylvania. Jacksonville, Florida. Franklin, Massachusetts. Blue Ridge, Georgia. Beautiful part of the world. Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. Santa Paula, California. Housatonic, Maine.
Wow.
West Babylon, New York, Red Oak, Texas, Saylorsburg, Pennsylvania, Cedarberry, Wisconsin, Canadensis, Pennsylvania, Paw Paw, Michigan,
Yes.
Yep.
and Philadelphia, by God, Pennsylvania.
There you go.
But apologies to Hockessin, Delaware.
Hockessin. All right. Hey, if I can't mess up something, it can't be perfect, JR.
we don't care, but
I
the
got some
people
nice-
there do.
I got some nice compliments today, so my head might be a little swollen.
Yeah.
Might be all swelled up.
Yeah, that wasn't in the show, but Dennis Gage said, "What a great interviewer you are."
That was awfully nice of him
Yes,
to say
it was.
that. I was
Nice compliment.
I was hoping you would bring that up. So
If you have a list of towns that's so long that you mess up one of them,
oh yeah,
that's a good problem to have.
That's a good.
Yeah.
That's absolutely a good problem. How about new arrivals?
How about them?
How about the new arrivals? How about the '93 Toyota extended cab pickup?
I didn't get the list. But
Oh man, '93 Toyota extended cab pickup. You talk about a rock solid, reliable mode of transportation. Plus, they're cool looking. I didn't think they were cool looking back in the day, but I
Right.
certainly do now.
Yeah.
And this one's white over blue, one owner. 2.4 liter EFI inline four, which is just a rock solid motor. It
Bulletproof.
really was bulletproof.
Yep.
4-speed automatic, and it's probably an up and coming collectible. I think.
Yeah.
It seems to be that that's becoming more prevalent. These Japanese market Toyotas and Nissans.
Some of the early Nissans.
Well, post-COVID, Toyota's really gotten into pushing their trucks.
Post COVID, wasn't that a song that was?
Yeah.
No, it was Post Toasty.
yeah,
Who did
Post
that?
Malone. Post Malone.
Tommy Bolin.
No, I don't
He
know.
played with
I have
Deep
no idea
Purple.
what you're talking about.
Is there only two?
Is that a music
artists,
reference?
Is there only two artists that you know anything about? Bruce Springsteen and Elvis.
Elvis.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't know anything about any other music.
Counting
except
Crows, I like. And
That's an odd.
Zach Brown.
I like Zach Brown. Zach Brown's great.
Yeah.
And Pat Travers.
Keith Urban.
Can we get on with this?
Yeah. Let's do it. Back to cars.
2008 Chevrolet HHR SS. Actually, this one has just left us. Victory Red over Ebony, 2-liter turbocharged Ecotec, another inline four, 5-speed manual. This thing is pretty cool. Bright red.
I had that exact car.
Really?
Yeah, we did for a short period of time. Yeah.
They were cool when they
Fun.
first came out. Fun to drive and got lots of looks. Lots
Hardtop
of attention.
convertible. Yep.
We rented a HHR in San Francisco one year, and I was so impressed with the room,
Right.
the space inside,
Right.
for a small car on the outside. So I said, we got to get one of these. And of course, I had to have the high performance version.
Right, the SS.
And we traded in a very reliable Subaru for the HHR.
And your wife will never let you forget it, right?
Now, somebody keyed it like the first month we had it. It soured the whole deal.
Yeah, that's souring.
Great car, though.
How about the? I think we just sold this car too. The 2011 Chevrolet Grand Sport Corvette 3LT convertible, supersonic blue metallic over ebony and light titanium, 24,000 actual miles, one owner. This is a lot of car for the money. If it ain't gone, it ought to be, because this thing is. Where are you going to find this kind of performance?
And that color is spectacular. I was sending this to Corvette friends saying, you got to get this car.
And the wheels on it are really stand out. They're really a unique design and in a good way. So
This may be my favorite Corvette since we had the Carlisle blue.
I love the Carlisle Blue
Z06.
I wish I'd have bought the Carlisle Blue Z06.
You should have bought that.
Should have
Yeah.
bought that.
Yeah.
Doggone
It's
it.
a 3LT also. So.
Yeah, I don't even know what any of that means, but
Okay.
So moving on, how about the 1969 Chevelle 300 Coupe, Hugger Orange over black, 850 horsepower, 408 cubic inch LSX V8, Pro Charger Supercharger, AFR 225 heads.
What's a 300?
I don't know what that
means.
means. It's another designation
like
of a
a
Chevelle.
Biscayne. It's like a lower
like trim
model.
level. Yep.
Yeah.
Don't ask me questions I don't know the answer to.
I thought you knew everything.
Why don't you ask the person who does the research?
Yeah, ask.
Well, you got headphones.
Yeah, exactly. You're hearing what's going on.
No, I'm tuning it out.
And it's got a Holley Terminator EFI, which is so cool because carburetors can be persnickerty.
Yeah.
And all these new Holley, different carburetor manufacturers, whether Holley or Edelbrock, are not just now making these electronic fuel injectors that are just bolt on, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
it's a little more complicated than that.
is that kind of like when I say that, oh, you want to get vintage air for this? It's like $2,000. They're like, it's not $2,000. The unit's more than $2,000.
Wow.
And then you got the labor. And so don't
And
quit
wiring.
saying, yeah, you don't say $2,000,
Right.
Stewart, you say that with some tone. Anyway, the Chevelle is pretty darn cool.
Yep.
2016 Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat. You got to imagine when Chrysler, Dodge, Stellantis, whoever was coming up with this name, do you think that they went back and forth about calling something a Hellcat? Do you think that had to be a lot of push and pull and fighting and give and take? And, are you sure we want?
I don't think there was any middle ground.
No, either like no.
Or
Not,
wow.
Or wow, how cool would that be if we
Did you, when you were in LA, did you do these research groups where you get paid to sit in on a table? I used to love that. I did some car ones. So I'm sure they had some. What do they call that? Research? I don't know, but
focus group.
Focus group.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Focus group, and sit around a table and they show you commercials and stuff.
Yeah, I did that with a movie, and I did it with a couple of commercials, and I did it with a couple of cars. I don't even remember what the cars were. It was like a Plymouth Volare.
Yeah.
Or something.
I don't know if that's still around, but it was a thing for actors to do when they were out of work.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was a big network.
Well, my friend who owned Beverly Hills Budget Rent-A-Car, Jerry Siemens, owned a company that did testing and research and would fly people to their track in Michigan, somewhere up there, and they would put them up for a couple of days and to get their feedback on cars and the competitors' cars. But he had the coolest rental car company in the world. He was renting exotics before anybody else was in Beverly Hills. So, and we became friends with him, so we'd go out there and he'd give us something cool to drive. And it wouldn't be a Ferrari or anything, but one year the brand new car was the Lexus LS 430, and he gave us one in black.
Ooh,
and
nice.
we were driving down Sunset Strip. And we got more thumbs up and more people high-fiving that car than any car we'd ever driven. It was just like people thought that was the coolest thing. It was cool because every time we go, it's something different. So another new arrival is we didn't talk about the Hellcat.
Oh, right.
Plum Crazy Pearl over black, 1,800 actual miles. One owner, 707 horsepower, 6.2-liter Hemi V8.
Sure.
Tremec 6-speed, showroom fresh.
Sure.
Last but not least, I love this car. 1960 Chevrolet Impala convertible, ermine white over black and white, 348, 3.2s, 3.2-barrel carburetors, turbo glide automatic, AACA national first place winner.
Beautiful car.
Beautifully restored. I think we're working on a deal on that.
I think so.
Yeah. And I think we've got our Mercedes V12 twin turbo S65 sold.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah, so we'll give you an update on that next week, assuming everything goes like it's supposed to go. When we return,
Do you want to talk about the auction now?
we do want to talk about the auction now.
You got time.
I got time? I don't know because the clock's not running. So how you?
Trust me, you got time.
I would know normally when the clock that's right above.
I know.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I pointing out?
We'll cut Keith short to talk about the auction.
So the auction is over.
Oh, that's right.
It's already over,
Right, that's right.
So we had a great time.
It was awesome. Wow, what a turnout.
Incredible.
What a turnout.
I tell you, we are.
Breakfast was fantastic.
Fantastic. We've got a food truck for breakfast out here. If you're a registered bidder or consigner, you got a great meal that now you'll never get ever again.
We got a great room in the Holiday Inn.
And it like when a musician would say, you should have been here last night. Eric Clapton joined us on stage. Like, gosh, thanks. Appreciate that.
I forgot that.
Yeah, or when
It's okay.
the late shows. Yeah, tomorrow night, Bruce Springsteen. Oh, thanks.
No, I'm going to be tied up tomorrow. Oh no! Right. So, but our auction, I tell you, the amount of people signed up on Proxy Bid and Geyer Auction Services that's here, our local auctioneer, has been short of phenomenal. I mean, we've got 88 cars, and we've got we'll have 1,000 bidders registered between in person and online.
Right.
And so we'll tell you next week how we did.
Yeah.
So hopefully it all worked out well. So can now we go to the break?
We can.
Okay, thanks. So when we return, we'll be joined by our friend Keith Martin, publisher of Sports Car Market Magazine. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
The Classic Auto Mall has more than 1,000 vehicles for consignment in our huge 8-acre climate-controlled showroom. It's a real indoor mall. If you'd like to know all the advantages of buying and selling a car through consignment, the information is available on our website, or you can talk to a classic car specialist who can answer all your questions. It's easy, safe, convenient, and it doesn't matter where you are. We sell worldwide. See our huge selection of classic and collectible vehicles at classicautomall.com.
And we're back with the Classic Auto Mall show from the Classic Auto Mall studio in Morgantown, Pennsylvania. Our dear friend Keith Martin joining us via Zoom. So editor, publisher, sports car market magazine. Good morning, Keith.
Good morning. It's great to be here.
Great to have you again. So your blog this week is, I love the title because we all can relate to this, only $1,000 per mile.
I know.
That sounds like my boat ownership, except it's nautical miles, so it's different. So,
the rules of boats and cars and all that stuff. Rule number one is never add up what you've spent.
Exactly. Jeez.
And then never divide it by like hours of track time or miles of use.
We did that with our boat on the third time we'd gone out on it in a year. And when we amortized the whole thing over the year thing, it was frightening. A little tear came down my eye.
I know. You could have just taken that money and gone to Paris.
Yeah, exactly. Or probably had somebody, you could probably rent a boat, have them bring it from Florida to your house, go out in the water for a couple hours, and they take it back to Florida and still be cheaper.
You'd be way ahead.
Way ahead. So you did the 40-mile drive put on by the Jaguar Owners Club of Oregon, the JOCO. Jocko. How was that?
Well, Jocko sounds like the name of a trained chimpanzee.
Jocko, he's a good boy.
The drive was good, but it really made me think, how do you get test drives in classic cars before you own them?
You don't. That's the problem. You really don't. I don't know.
You and I are not going to turn people loose with these old cars on the road.
No.
As I said in my article, when I was the GM of the Tonkin Ferrari store, people never got to test drive a car.
Right,
never.
Right. It wasn't allowed.
I would drive it with them sitting in it, but they did not get to drive that car until it was paid for.
Yeah, because there's too many things that can go wrong with a car, either high performance or old. Either one of those are a recipe for disaster. And luckily for us, we have a large 25-acre asphalt parking lot here at our place. And but there's not many test drives. It's mostly the guys driving somebody around and showing them. And every once in a while, we'll let them just take a couple of laps around the so-called track. But if the guy wants to take it out on the turnpike, we can't allow that to happen. It's just too much risk and too much liability, and too many things can go wrong, even if it wasn't the guy driving its fault. I mean, if the transmission just goes out, it may or may not have been his fault, but it's going to be blamed on him because he's driving it.
Well, I think, Stuart, the way you start, as I mentioned, first see if people can fit into a car. You know what? I'm going to turn this off.
That's hilarious. Well, while you're turning that off, I'll tell you that we've lost more sales to non-fitters than just either them physically can't fit in it, or it's too damn long for their garage.
Yeah, I think about Italian cars from the 50s and 60s were built for people who are about 5'8".
Yeah, svelte comes into mind when when we talk about this.
And that's just so you need to go sit. Can you fit in the car?
Sure. Yeah. Is it comfortable? Can you fit in it? Do you feel comfortable? Because if you don't feel comfortable just sitting there, you're damn sure not going to feel comfortable driving it.
Right.
And it's tricky. These old cars are tricky because if things can go wrong. We sold a car to a guy and literally he shipped it out to the West Coast, and about a month later, the fuel pump went out and he was mad. And I said, how would I ever know that? How could I ever predict that that's going to happen?
Hey, so Stuart, you and I are sitting at the Jaguar factory in 1963. And so we talk to the head technician and we say, now, 50 years from now, what do you think might go wrong with this car?
He'd just slap you. He'd just slap the crap out of you, tell him to get out of his shop.
I know. And we're dealing with things are so far past their original design life.
Right.
that you end up with failures of things that you never thought would fail.
Yeah. How come the air vent just came out of its axis and fell onto the ground, and it's $180 for the part and 3.5 hours of labor to put it back in?
Oh, I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
It's like that. But it's true that knowing what's going to fail and all that. Yes, I mean, a warranted car is one thing, and they do their best to make them last however many years they need to last, 3 or 4 or whatever it is. But it's certainly hard to predict. And even if a car is seemingly in perfect condition, how many times have we all driven a car, we parked it, we came back out the next morning, and there was something wrong, and it had no indication of that being wrong the day before when we parked it?
Right. I agree 100%.
How do you know that?
I just was having some problems with my Alpha with the charging system. And it turned out that the super duper Duracell battery somebody put in it, after 3 years, it had a cell that was dead.
Right. Yeah.
And so it was impossible to, it would sit, you would pull into a gas station, idle for 5 minutes, and your battery would be dead.
Oh my God. That's so frustrating too, because it's one of those things. It's like a broken fuel gauge. There's nothing worse in an old car than a fuel gauge that doesn't work. It just drives me absolutely crazy, because you know you're going to mess up. You know you're going to forget that the fuel gauge is not working, and you're going to end up somewhere you don't want to be with no fuel.
Well, with my Alpha, the fuel gauge, it starts flickering on the yellow empty light starts flickering at 3/4 full.
You better hurry.
so you're like constantly in fear.
Yeah, I don't. Fear is not a good look for me.
But fear is part of what goes into classic car tours.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you see it even on the big ones like the Colorado Grands and the stuff that you guys do and all those. There's fear because, first of all, something can go wrong in the middle of nowhere that you won't have a part for, or even worse, these cars aren't as steady as a new car, and you're going down. There's cliffs that go a long way down into Nowhereville. And then you got all that to worry about. Plus, you don't want to tear up $1 million car.
No, it's it's the fun factor. With a classic car tour is the fear factor.
Right. So the FF factor. Yeah, we'll have to remember that, right?
That's right.
So when I'm sure you get this call all the time. Guy calls you and says, "I'm interested in XYZ car." What's your process? Do you tell him, "Click, I'm sorry, or we broke up, I didn't hear you, and don't ever call me again"? Or do you give people advice on buying cars? And if you do, how do you make sure that you're not putting yourself out there,
I usually redirect them to forums or to cars that have sold on Bring a Trailer that had a lot of trolls answering them, or to Facebook groups. I just had a problem with the right vent on my daughter's Lotus Elise stopped working, and I posted in the Facebook Lotus Elise S2 users group, and bing, there were 3 or 4 answers that came back that day. This is how this is connected, and this is how this comes together. I had a friend just say he's kind of interested in a late model Macan. And all I know about that is that there have been several versions of Macans, and some have timing chain troubles. And some, I said, you need to go immerse yourself in the literature that's there, and even post the question. Say, I've got $22,000 to spend, and I want to buy a Macan, and what's my best choice?
Right, exactly, because they'll tell you, and you can if you know how to. It's just like Bring a Trailer or any of those other sites. If you know what to believe and what not to believe, it's like reviews on a business. You got to know which ones are just a guy who's just angry, and you got to know which ones are legitimate. Whether it's good advice, bad advice, stay away, buy from this guy, don't buy from this guy.
Yeah. No, I agree. You have to use your own filtering system.
Yeah, and just because it says it doesn't make it so.
When I watch the Bring a Trailer auctions, if it's something I know a lot about, like an Alpha,
right,
I will be very careful only to say positive things.
Right.
Because there'll be people there, and they'll make assumptions. They'll say the wrong, they'll declare that these are the right carburetors for this car.
Right. They're not.
And they're not. And it's not my business to be the corrector there. I'll just listen and let other people kind of chime in. But my job is to be supportive and to say when these cars are set up properly, they're really good.
Right.
I like the 5-speed conversion you've done here. It's just, why not add positive, because there's always somebody else with a knife they're going to twist.
Absolutely. And it's funny because a guy will call them and say, they never made a Mustang in 1968 in chartreuse. And you prove them wrong and they go, oh, I guess I was wrong. But boy, they were just all hell-bent for leather when they first said it. But you have to be careful too, because you're known. People know that it's you. The people know that you're the one making the comment. So you can't just you have to be a little diplomatic in this world.
Well, we want to be, first of all, they say do no harm, right? I mean, the main thing is you want to help a guy get a good price for his car.
Sure.
And if somebody comes to me, let's say they ask about a Ferrari Mondial Cabriolet, right? A car that was unloved, it's becoming a little more loved.
Right.
I own one, and I can say to them, they have a dash that was designed by Kukla, Fran, and Ollie.
There's the first reference to that on the Classic Auto Mall show, folks. The Kukla, Fran, and Ollie reference. That's great.
They have a goofy Ferrari from the 80s electronics problem.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The car's not bad.
No. If they're sorted and well taken care of and well done and all that. I mean, we see it all the time, and we've talked about it all the time. The newbie at the auction raising his hand for the $5,000 BMW, fill in the blank. And he's so excited that he's bought a BMW after all these years he's been admiring them. And this car new was $80,000 and he just bought it for $5,000 and he's so elated. But that's going to be a short elation unless that car was really well sorted and has lots of documentation and records and all that. Your next bill is going to be more than what you paid for the car.
Well, my story on that, I was with my daughter at a silver auction, and she was about 14, and there was a Land Rover Disco that was there. And I know that discos are money evaporator machines, right? And if you just walk by a disco with a credit card, you get charged $4,000.
Yeah. Ding, ding. You're like, what the hell?
Just because. But there was this car that was there that was a burgundy metallic with tan leather. Ooh. And it was sold by a friend of mine who is got a reputation for being the best detailer in the world, and every flaw is hidden.
Right. That's how good he is.
Don't worry about all those lights on the dash. They always come on.
It's just there's a little switch here and you turn and do the thing.
That's right. So actually, after I bought the car, he said, look, here's a set of brake pads. That'll help you.
That's funny that the old brake pads. Right? Mark Trimble, who started the Branson auction, used to always, every car he would sell up on the block, it would get to where that stalling point where a car is climbed and it's got to a certain point and there's a leveling off and the color guy starts talking about it again. Mark Trimble would always take the microphone and go, now, folks, I've just realized that there's something wrong with the fuel pump. So I've got $200 here for whoever is the buyer of the car to fix that fuel pump on me because I didn't know about it and it just happened. He knew about it. Wow. It's a little marketing thing. And so people were like ding, 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 ding. And he gave them the $200. And I love that. It was great marketing.
There's also nothing like the sensation with your daughter looking at that and saying, Daddy, could we own that car today?
Yeah. Well, you want to? Yeah, we can. Yes, honey.
The bidding is stopped at $3,200. Now, why is that? Because everybody else in the room is stupid, or everybody else in the room knows that car is worth $2,800 on the best day of his life.
Wink, wink, nod, nod. I mean, that's the problem. That
raise your hand, and you've bought your dream car.
For $3,200 plus fees. Yeah. Plus you got to get it home. Plus, but you can drive it home, but probably not. It's
probably not.
Well, if we haven't answered all your questions, there's always next week. We'll have you on again, and hopefully we'll have more enlightening, insightful information for all of our viewers and listeners. Keith Martin, thank you so much. Good to see you.
Great to be here.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
And we'll catch you next week on the Classic Auto Mall Show here at the Classic Auto Mall Studio in Morgantown, Pennsylvania. We'll see you then.
Here's a special offer from Sports Car Market Magazine. Get a 6-month subscription for just $19.95 by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive and the number 6. That's sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. If you're a buyer, a seller, or just general classic car enthusiast, publisher Keith Martin says,
we've been around almost 40 years. It's the Wall Street Journal of the collector car world.
Activate your 6-month trial of Sports Car Market Magazine by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. Offers for a limited time. Be in the know with Sports Car Market.
The
The Classic Auto Mall Show with their host, Stewart Howden, executive producer, Steve Sethier, produced and engineered by yours truly, J.R. Russ, video editor, Randy Lammy. Available on ClassicAutomall.com, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Music courtesy of the Pat Travers Band. For tour dates, contact, and stuff, visit PatTravers.com. Produced by Car Smarts Media. Copyright all rights reserved.